Welcome back to Ugly Truck. Today we're back on the 5.3 DOD delete, but first let's show you what we DID, what we did. Here's a recap.
LC9. It's an all aluminum 5.3 liter LS motor, a displacement on demand engine. I don't have anything at all nice to say about them. We're gonna figure out why it doesn't have any oil pressure. If we can fix that problem, we're gonna do a delete on the displacement on demand on it. I think it'll polish up. It'll be just fine. All right, as we suspected, this thing's got worn camshaft bearings. It seems like the crank's still fine on it. The rods and main journals look good, so I hope we can have that polished, put bearings in it, and we'll see. Machine shop will decide that. All right, we're back working on the DOD, the 5.3. Can't remember where we last left off on it, but it didn't have any oil pressure, so we knew we were gonna put new main bearings in it, and rod bearings. The cam bearings were bad, so we had to get some new cam bearings in it. So we just decided we'll re-ring it also, since we're going through that much trouble. It wasn't that much more to put some new rings in it. The cylinders look great. So I sent it off to the machine shop and had the cylinders honed. I had them go ahead and put the cam bearings in it, and they cleaned it. It looks really nice. The day I picked it up, it was raining, and they had this thing in a bag already, and it was raining pretty good. By the time I got it home, it had gotten in past the bag a little bit, and it had started to flash rust a little. So when I got it home, I immediately cleaned it up. And a while back, I started using this stuff on things that I didn't want to rust up. I have no idea how it works, but it works pretty well. It puts a nice coating on the surface, and it won't rust as long as you keep it dry. You do have to clean that stuff off. So a little bit ago, I started washing it. And what I do to wash them, warm soapy water, like a dish detergent, something like that. I use Dawn, and I methodically start washing the cylinder walls off in this thing. And I wash them, then I wash them again. I probably washed them 3 or 4 times. And then I take a nice white lint-free rag, and I'll just start digging in them and try to find some dirt residue on them still. And you can wash them a bunch of times and it'll still come up with some dirt. But I keep going until this rag is perfectly white. And then I wash it one more time, and then I blow it out real good with pressurized air. Dry it off, and then now I'm gonna get some oil sitting on the cylinders so I don't have to worry about it rusting up again. But we're gonna put it together real fast anyway. So in order to put this short block together, we are going to start by putting the crankshaft in it. And the crank, we ended up just having it polished, so it's got standard size bearings in it, and it looked really nice, and it looks new, so we're pretty happy with that. But we'll put that in and show you the process of checking the bearing clearances on it to make sure that's all good. And then we'll go from there, put a cam in it. Okay?
Okay.
Does that sound fine?
Sure.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna get some oil in these cylinders, so while I'm putting the crank in, I don't have to worry about it flash rusting. I can't stand the touch of oil. It drives me crazy.
Oh, goodness.
So I was thinking I'd maybe have you do it.
Oh, okay.
So you want to do it?
Sure.
Huh? That aluminum block sure does look pretty though.
I know.
You know? Pretty cool. All right. Perfect. What's your method, how you do this?
I don't want to make a huge mess, because I don't want to clean the floor.
Right.
So I start at the top and I work it around.
Yeah.
Then I work it all the way to the bottom. Just make sure you get it all covered, I guess, is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got some oil on the cylinder walls, so now we can rock this thing over. We'll go ahead and work on putting a crankshaft in it. It'll be the first thing, first thing to do. So, start cleaning everything off. Make sure you use lint-free rags. You don't want to use like a red shop rag doing this. Those red ones, they'll leave giant clumps of lint all over the place. And so use one of these. Nice. All right, so we're gonna put in Cleveite main bearings. These are aluminum. They're not tri-metal. This thing originally had aluminum bearings in it, and it did really good not having no more than 10 pounds of oil pressure, so I'm just going to go back with what it had. This is the thrust bearing, okay? There'll be one bearing on this crankshaft that's got that extra lip on it. That's the thrust bearing for the crankshaft moving back and forth, okay? Let's see. They do go in a certain direction. That little tab sits down on that. We're going to put the bearings in, and we're going to set the crankshaft in it dry. We're going to check its main bearing clearance first before we lube everything up. How's that look?
Sweet.
Okay, now the main cap bearings, they don't have any holes in them, okay? Because the main caps don't have anything feeding oil pressure to them. So you wouldn't want to put that bearing there, but it doesn't work anyway because of that little tab. So it's kind of a no-brainer that it won't work. They kind of only go in one way, so yeah, that's pretty cool. It's made for people like me that aren't very smart.
Oh,
you know?
You have other good qualities.
I'm smart, but I can really screw stuff up. All right, so to begin with, you want to make sure your bearings are seated flat. I did double check. These are standard bearings. They're not oversized. The crank hasn't been turned. So, all right, the crankshaft. I'm going to spray it out with brake clean, but I go through each one of the rod journals with a brush, okay? And just to make sure, machine shops they're kind of a dirty environment. So you never know, even though this one was just polished, it could have some junk in it. So I don't take a chance on it. I already brake cleaned it out a little bit. So I'm going to run a brush through each one of the oil passages, and then I'm going to brake clean it out. Then I'm going to blow air through it. You would not want to fire this thing up and have a piece of junk in there.
No.
It would be bad.
It's not where you want junk.
No.
I mean, junk in the trunk is one thing, but junk in your crankshaft is a whole different ballgame. Yeah.
Alright, so got my main bearings in there. They're dry. I'm going to set the crankshaft in there. I'm not going to rotate it after I have it in there. I'm going to try and set it in there to where some of the journals are kind of down out of my way. Set it in there lightly. Okay. Okay, the main caps. Before I took them to the machine shop, I marked which one was which. Then the machine shop, they marked them too, I noticed. So we got that going for us.
So got that going for me.
You want to do the Plastigage, or you want me to do it?
I'll cut it.
Huh?
I'll cut it. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Sure.
We'll need a scissor. Do we have any scissors?
We do.
Okay.
I think they're the ones you use on your nose hairs.
Those won't be sharp enough. All right. In order to check the clearance on this, the main bearings, we are going to use a Plastigage. How does Plastigage work? Plastigage is just a thin piece of, I don't think it's really plastic. Maybe it is, I don't know. It's more like a clay type thing. But we're going to cut a little strip of it that is going to lay across the main bearing journals, okay? And then we're going to put the main bearing caps down on it with the bearings, torque it down, and by reading how flat it is, you can get a measurement on the main bearing clearance, or on your bearing clearance for anything really. This thing wants 9/10,000ths of an inch is a minimum to 25/10,000ths of an inch is a maximum. So that's what we're shooting for. They make these in different sizes. The green, that will take care of what we need to measure on this one. So I'll have Emily take and cut a strip that's about the width of each main journal and lay a piece on each one of them. And then I'll come along and I'll set the cap down on each one of them.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Not really.
No. It's pretty small. Oh, and you also don't want to do it where there's a hole.
Oh, yeah. That wouldn't work very good.
Right. I mean, there'd be a lot of clearance right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So basically, this is the smush test.
Yep, smush test.
Oink.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to set the caps down straight on it. You don't want to wiggle them around too much when you're measuring the clearance. Thrust bearing goes on the number 3 journal on a LS. Okay. Tap them in place with a rubber mallet. We'll do the torque sequence here in a second.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, so to check this clearance, I'm just going to torque both of them down to 18 foot-pounds, or all of them down to 18 foot-pounds. That's not the same as the final torque on them, but I just want to see the clearance. That's all I want to see. So. All right, so the Plastigage, it would be squished down or we hope it's squished down. If it's not squished down, we got a problem. I would say it's between 0.002 and 0.003, right?
That's what it looks like.
Okay. It's a little shy of 0.003, but it's between 0.002. Okay, so the maximum was 0.0025.
Mm-hmm.
And so that'd be right in line with what we'd want, right? Same thing, you can look at it on the cap side too if you want, but 0.003, okay?
Okay.
Alright, so we're calling that good, right?
Sweet.
Alright, I'm happy with the clearance, so now we need to get some oil on this thing. So I'm just going to use assembly lube on it. Could you use that, or make sure it's got engine oil on it? That'll be a good job for you.
I think so. I feel like you keep giving me the messy jobs.
On the thrust washer, make sure you put it on the thrust surface. It's going to mess up our measurement on our thrust measurement, but it'll still be alright. I'm sure I'm using way too much.
I'm sure someone in the comments will let us know.
Yeah. Alrighty, so I'm going to draw these down, not too tight. Okay, the thrust bearing one, I'm going to loosen it up a little bit so it'll slide on the cap. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm going to give it a few taps that way. And a couple that way. Hopefully that'll center it. And then we will measure thrust play. Oops. Okay, got nothing there. 0.002. So that's 0.002. And the minimum is 0.0015 to 0.0078. Okay?
Sweet.
So I'm sure if we step up a little bit, 0.005. So it will not go in there. So it's between 0.002 and 0.005, which is fine. So let's torque these babies down. So all these get first pass around 15 foot-pounds. The inside bolts first. Start from the center and go out. Yeah, there she is.
There she is.
Oh, I know.
Right in the middle of everything.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. All right, so now they get an additional, the first bolts get an additional 80 degrees. Okay?
Okay.
And I don't have a fancy degree torque wrench, so I have to use this.
You don't want to just eyeball it?
I could. All right. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I wish they weren't so expensive.
Yeah. 80. 80. 51 degrees.
On the other ones?
Yep.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Good. Do it. Alright, so make sure it feels like it turns nice, which this one does. And that's it for the crank. The crank is installed. Alright, so now we got the crankshaft bolted in. Check the main cap clearances and the thrust clearances. Everything's great with that. It turns nice and free. The cap bolts are torqued down, and then we'll put the side bolts in here in a little bit. They go in last. They just get torqued down to 22 foot-pounds. So just to keep things rolling up. I think we're going to we'll set the camshaft in next, just because it gives me more clearance to get my hand down here if I need to. And so we'll have the cam set in there, and then we'll roll it over and start putting pistons back in it. So how's
Awesome.
that?
Sounds good.
Okay, so this is a General Motors stock camshaft for this motor that's not DOD. So I'll slather some lubricant on it and try and set it in the hole, see how it goes.
Cool.
Go ahead and put a dollop on each one of those. Well, went in nicely, and it feels like it turns nicely, so that's good.
That's what you want.
All right, so what are we gonna do next?
Lifters?
Nope,
Oh,
nope. You're just jonesing to put lifters in.
I know. My favorite part.
Me too.
Pistons.
Yep, but piston ring gap is what we gotta check.
Oh,
Okay?
sounds boring.
Sounds boring. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. My work is boring.
Yeah, when do we get to the part where we fire it up?
Very soon.
Think so?
Very soon. So, Groove number 2. Groove number 1. Those are the oil rings. Each one of these, I'm gonna set the ring in. I'm going to take a piston, I'm going to push them down about an inch flat in the hole.
So these are the second groove?
Yep.
Cool.
In the event that they were too tight, we would have to file them to open up the gap a little bit, because otherwise they get hot, they pinch together, and they just break the piston. Good.
Very nice.
Very nice. You know it's a little bigger than 008. Everything's cool, huh? 0032. Is that what you said?
032. So it's got quite a bit of.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fine. Fine. Fine.
Cool.
Alright, so let's do the number 1 piston.
Okie dokie.
Make sure that the rings are not perfectly lined up. The end gaps, okay. Oil ring there. Then I'll do second ring about 30 degrees from the other one. So they rotate in the hole anyway. So, but you don't want to start them off lined up with each other. Just give them a little bit of oil. Number 1 rod bearing. Pretty much the same as the crank bearings, except no holes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm gonna guide the piston up onto the crankshaft, and then we're gonna check the rod clearance with Plastigage, just like we did the main bearings. Is that okay?
Do I get to use scissors again?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, scissors. The rod caps on the LS engine, they're fractured, so that means they break them apart. They only go on one connecting rod. So what? That's good.
Okay.
Okay. Ooh, yeah. So there's 0.002, and it's less than 0.003.
Yep.
So that would be okay?
Yep.
Wouldn't it? I'm basically going to do this 7 more times, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll just time warp through that,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So initial rod, 15 foot-pounds, and another 85 degrees. Okay. 85. Okay.
Cool. So now we just have to do that 7 more times.
Yeah.
So instead of showing everybody that, let's just...
Okay, here's number 8.
That was quick.
I know. If you don't have one of these piston ring compressors, you should get them. Save you a lot of trouble. Makes it a lot easier putting them in. They're less than $30. The only problem is you got to have one for every bore size.
One for everyone, yeah.
So, but that's okay, because they look cool.
Yeah, you have a whole collection.
Yep. Where have you been? Good. Alright, so pistons installed. Okay.
Yay.
Alright, we're back. Day 2 on this thing. I went ahead last night. I put the timing chain on the front of it. I put a high volume oil pump on it. We're leaving the variable valve timing on it. So everything in that portion of it is all stuff that we've gone through before. So it didn't really have anything to do with the displacement on demand delete, other than you got to get that new camshaft in there that doesn't have DOD on it. So that's the point we're at with this thing. At this point, we can put either the valley cover on it, or we can put the lifters in it. And I know Emily, she loves putting lifters in engines. So
I do.
We'll start with doing that first.
I get so pumped up when we do lifters.
Alright, while she's getting pumped up, the lifters, new cam, all new lifters, alright, valley tray, or lifter trays, and they are non-DOD, so they're different, so you get some new ones of those. All the parts that we used in this one, she'll put down in the description.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So,
there'll be a parts list in the description.
right, so any of those questions, that'll be there. So we'll put the lifters in, and we'll put the valley cover on, okay? And I think this is interesting because this is made by General Motors to delete
Yeah.
the DOD.
Yeah.
So basically all these little holes here, instead of directing oil through solenoids and traveling through the passages there, it just caps them off. So I think it's an easy way to do it. It works nicely. You can also just cap these off and put a regular cover on that doesn't have those, but I just do it that way. So let's go ahead and put the lifters in it. Then I'll put that valley cover on it, and we'll slap the heads on it, and we can call this thing done. I'll put this thing in the truck tomorrow, and we'll see how it goes. You know what Tone Loc said?
What?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Funky gold again.
I don't think anybody is going to get your Tone Loc references for sure.
No?
No.
Oh. I bet you they would.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to dunk our lifters in some oil. Not so much to pump them up, but just to give them a little bit of lubrication when you drop them in there.
So it's not to pump up the hydraulic portion of them, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
People will yell at you for that one.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, you don't need to do that. No, but they do need oil on them, so let's put some oil on them. How many lifters are in a V8 engine? 47?
68. There's 69 in a Gen 4 though.
Yeah.
Got an extra one.
Right. And these are General Motors lifters. GM cam, GM lifters.
So there's no clean way to do it, but get you some gloves and a bucket of oil and just have a good time with it.
Mm-hmm. Let's do this one first.
This one?
Sure. This one's a good one. Wiggle it.
Wiggle it.
Wiggle it.
Wiggle it. Okay, there we go.
There
Yay.
you go.
Okay.
It's pretty impressive how still the plastic holds them, you know? Science. What are they going to come up with next?
I don't know. All
Huh?
this technology.
Flying cars. What's next? An electric car?
That'll be the day.
I don't think so. How long's the cord going to have to be?
Okay.
All right.
2.
Go for it.
Wiggle.
There.
Bam. All right.
So, is the passenger side or the driver's side, do you do it any different or?
It's the same, but you stand on the other side of the engine while you do it. Easy to do. Yeah. Okay.
Pretty nice. See, now if we were in Australia, you'd have to put those upside down.
That's true. Maybe our Australian viewers can let us know, like, what's it like being upside down all the time? Seems silly. So you just move up here where it's right side up. There. Okay.
So, let's put the bolts in.
Okay, and these little bolts have a shoulder here, and that's gonna line up your tray around that hole. So you can kind of eyeball it and then get your bolt started.
You don't want to smash the bolt down on the edge. If you line it up a little bit, it'll center itself. You'll feel it.
Yeah, so there it's
Right.
it's centered in there.
Yep. Can I tighten this one down?
I guess. And those get torqued to 89 inch-pounds.
How many corns is that?
That's like 4 corns.
4 corns?
Like 3.7 probably,
Right.
if you want to get technical.
It's our new torque method.
Yeah.
It's going to replace the torque turn method that I hate so much. You want to do the valley cover?
Sure.
Valley cover's easy.
Yeah. Does anything get siliconed on it? Or
Nope.
just the rubber gasket?
That thing comes with brand new bolts and everything. It's a GM part number right there. The original pressure sending unit for the oil pressure bolts right into it. I think it's simple. They can just start each one of them and then tap it down. There you go. And then usual torque pattern, center out, you know.
Okay.
But just
snug them
yeah.
for now.
Okay. So I think of these like a Ford intake manifold. I keep going around until I do them until they're torqued.
Okie doke. It's corned.
Corned?
Got the valley cover corned.
16 corns.
16 corns.
All right. Great job with the lifters, Emily.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
nice
you.
job. All right. So a little recap of a DOD. I don't think we've even mentioned what DOD is really. DOD stands for Displacement on Demand. So the computer senses that there's no load being put on the engine, and it shuts this thing down to 4 cylinders. Let's all just agree that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It does not work. So on this truck, the easiest thing I think to do a DOD delete is to put a camshaft in it that's not designed for DOD. New lifters, of course. It takes different trays for the lifters. And then this valley cover, okay? There are different ways to do it. I just think that this is, to me, is the simplest way to do it. And it's all General Motors parts that are in this, so I kind of like that. You know they'll be around if you needed to replace them. Or...
Yeah.
Of course, the other part of doing it is sending out the truck's computer. That's pretty straightforward. Drop it in the mail to somebody that does a DOD delete on it, and the computer quits shutting those cylinders down, and it quits looking to set a check engine code, basically, for anything involved with the DOD. Okay? We left a variable valve timing on it because I do really like variable valve timing, except in Fords. All right. I love Fords, but I like to fix variable valve timing in Fords, but
Yeah.
Ford needs to figure that problem out. But everybody else has got DVT down great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get through this DOD delete. Get this thing done, get this truck gone. I'll put the engine in this pickup tomorrow, and we'll fire it up. It'll have plenty of oil pressure now because we did a lot of extra work to it. We didn't do just a DOD delete, but it'll be fine. It'll be a happy truck again. And then we're gonna get to some really cool stuff. We got some crazy will they runs coming up.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that we both love. We love all this. We're fortunate that we have a job that we do what we like to do. But the will it runs and all the other weird stuff,
Oh yeah.
that's our thing. So
Yeah.
if you are interested in that stuff, or we hope you like everything that we do, but hit the subscribe button, please. We're trying to reach 1 million subscribers by the end of this month.
Yeah.
Right?
This month.
We tried it last month, but it didn't work last month.
Yeah,
so we're going this month.
Yeah,
Okay?
I think we can do it this time.
Right. So you hit the subscribe button, you ring the bell, and then when we come up with another video, there you go.
There you go.
So that's all you gotta do.
Yeah.
Okay? And we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks a lot.